Let's do a video comparison between the iPhone 17 Pro Max versus the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, right now it is daytime. We're just shooting in probably perfect conditions here. Is there really a dramatic difference between these two cameras? Also, let's go ahead and test the audio. Now we are switching to the 17 Pro Max's microphone. There's a little bit of wind, but nothing too dramatic here. And with that, let's switch to the iPhone 15 Pro Max's built-in audio. How does that sound? Is there really that big of a leap between both audio sources? Let me know what you're hearing. Now let's take a look at cinematic mode. I've got both running on the 17 and the 15. How does that look? Is that any better improvement on the 17 Pro Max versus the 15? Is it even something you want? Do you even want the whole cool blurry background type thing? This is what your cinematic mode is going to look like on both of these devices. And now let's take a look at the front-facing camera on both of these. The new 17 Pro Max did get I believe it's an 18 megapixel camera in that. So definitely, I can already notice a huge improvement just looking at my screen here between both of these. I feel like there's a lot more clarity and on the 17 Pro Max versus the 15, but you be the judge of that. If you plan on been able to look at yourself while filming, if that's something you like, might be worth going to the 17 Pro Max because I definitely notice a difference in both of these. Now let's do a quick test of some of the other lenses here on both of these devices. If we go to the wide angle lens on both of these, this is that quality difference you're going to see between both of them. You're just looking at the screens here, I don't really see too dramatic of a difference between these two. Then we're gonna go back to the 1X here. That's what that's gonna look like. And what's actually interesting is the 15 Pro Max has a built-in 5X lens, whereas the 17 Pro Max only has a built-in 4X lens. So if I go to the 5 here and go to the 4 on the 17, that is the difference between the 4X and the 5X zoom. Now Apple does have an additional 8X, which is some weird digital, dynamic, higher megapixel type lens. It's not actually an 8X optical lens, but I'm gonna click that anyway. And that is the video quality difference there. So you can see this is with the 8X compared to the 5. Here's back to the 4 compared to the 5. I try to get these almost identical. So this is probably the sharpest. And this might be a little lower quality even though it zooms in a bit further. You'll have to be the judge of that. Look carefully at those. But 4 compared to 5 isn't too traumatic. Like, it almost looks barely noticeable if I'm looking at both of these. They look almost the exact same zoom capabilities, even though the 15's a 5X and the 17 here is a 4X. So let me know what you guys think. Now, another thing worth testing is the autofocus / close-up capabilities of these. So I've got a phone here. If I hold that up to the 15, there's a look at this phone kind of up close. You can see the autofocus there. Back to me. The 17 Pro Max, here's that. Autofocus on the phone. There's that. And obviously back to me. I think these probably have the same basic autofocus there. But just kind of look there in terms of, if you want to do product reviews, hold something up to the camera, get close-ups. There's kind of that look in terms of blur and things like that. Now I also want to do a stabilization test here. This is on the front-facing camera on both of these. And so I'm gonna do a little jog here, and then we'll also switch to the back-facing cameras, do a run back, see if there is a stabilization difference. So front-facing camera first. Here's just a walk for right now. And then let's do a jog here. Is there any better stabilization on these front-facing cameras? Let's switch to the back. All right, so here is the back-facing camera. We are now walking with it here. Let's see how the stabilization goes with the back-facing camera. Let's do a jog. There's that jog. How's that stabilization looking? Is that good? Is that bad? Let me know what you think. And now let's do a test of indoor lighting. Maybe you're gonna film like a YouTube video. I've got now like a light box here. This is like my usual kind of setup a bit. But here's a little look at what that might look like if you have the studio lighting and things like that. This is what that's gonna be like. And let's go ahead and do a low light video test on top of that. All right, so this is a low light video test here. Pay attention to the particles and the dark spots, whether it's really, really fuzzy or not. Those are things to look for in low light videos, but here's the test of both those, the 17 and the 15. How does that look? Which one? Is there major improvement between the two? That'll be interesting to see. Now, if this video was helpful at all, it means a lot if you click the subscribe button. You're probably never gonna see one of my videos again, but it goes a really long way in helping me grow this channel. So appreciate it if you do that, and I'll see you guys later.